All right, guys, to give you an idea of how cold it is here in Tennessee, this is a water bottle I've had in my truck, and it's still full of ice. Want to give y'all some very common sense. And listen, if you watch this channel, you'll see that I make a whole lot of mistakes, especially some that can be helped. But you see here, and here, and here, and here, and all these right here and here. If you guys follow along with the channel, you can kind of see on the video, there's one of them hoses that's really brownish looking. It's the older hose, and the gray one is the one that was underneath it. I got 200 foot on the reel. Well, I repaired the one at my local Napa, and I've repaired it twice and I had it going, and it's been going good all year. Well, it's winter time. I had a house wash a week ago, and I get done just like normal. Well, we end up getting these freezing temperatures down here in Tennessee, like into the single digits. I come out here this morning, parked the truck over in the sun so all this stuff could thaw out, because it's still about 35, and it was just a nightmare. I look, and like everywhere that this is bent, it was split. I still had ice in all the hose. I have this hose and another one. Still had ice everywhere in it. My mix, if you've ever put a drink, well, it's just like a slushy if you've ever put a drink in the freezer. So let's listen. Yeah, it looks like a big drink in there, because this whole top layer is ice. I had to take one of the drop tubes and beat around in it and break it up. Now, I'm surprised it pulled really good, but the bottom is loosened up. It's just got a layer up here. Guys, you know that I've had a house fire, so I'm not at my house every day. This is something that I would have done because I've not had a hose do me this way. And I washed a house last year in January with an old hose, and it was just an old hose, so it, when it busted, that wasn't a big deal, and it only did it in a couple places. This one did it in like 20 places. So I was just going to hook everything up, make sure everything was good to go, and then like everywhere I got a bend, I see ice coming out of it where the hose busted. The reason it did is I left my gun connected. I never leave my gun connected, and luckily it didn't freeze and break, but I never leave my gun connected. I'll take and squeeze that trigger and try to empty out all that water in this hose. And it's kind of hard to do with this one, which, this one's eventually gonna, give way too. You can see I got a cut there, and it's just faded, but this one's 4 or 5 years old and still works good. But you can see the difference in where the sun beats on it and where it doesn't. But just a quick tip for you guys: when you set your stuff up, if it's gonna be freezing, get a little air chuck and just take and put it into that and blow the air out of them lines. If anything, just hold the trigger on your gun or empty the gun out while you're reeling it up, because it'll get a lot of that water out, because a little residual water won't hurt nothing. But when I did that job a couple weeks ago, I got done, I left the gun hooked up. I didn't even unhook the gun, which that would have helped out tremendously. But that water was in these lines or these hoses, and it didn't have anywhere to go but to expand and bust. And we had some super abnormal cold weather here, but that's still no excuse. I didn't even think about the lines busting or freezing. I thought, well, as long as I'm not putting any pressure to it from the pressure washer, I'll be fine. But that was wrong. So if I can give you guys a tip for winterizing in the wintertime, is one, if you're going to go out and wash some, try to find a sunny spot to keep your truck parked for the next day. That way the sun can thaw everything out. And then on my pressure washer, so I made sure it wasn't froze, I didn't hook the water to it and then just turn it on. I hooked the water to it and just made sure that it came out and there wasn't any ice built up in the pump or anything, and it flowed through. And then I turned it on without hooking the hose up, and it was fine. But This was a surprise wash. I didn't expect to be washing, at the December 28th. I didn't expect to be washing one today, but it came up. And even though it's been abnormally freezing cold in single-digit weathers for 3 days, we're going to be back into the 60s by like tomorrow or the next day. So it would have taken me 5 minutes to unhook that. Some guys leave their guns hooked up. That's fine as long as you hold the trigger and empty that line out. That way it can get the water out. But even then, these hoses, I mean, I know people say they're disposable, but they're $150. And, if I could have turned my air compressor on for 5 minutes and stuck an air chuck in it and pushed that air through, and those hoses wouldn't have busted. Now, luckily, I had a backup. I've had this backup for this whole year. So when it messed up, I just pulled it out of the truck, hooked it up, and then I was ready to go. But so you got to have a backup, or I wouldn't have been able to do that job today. But it was just abnormally cold here. I got the gun off of it now for sure. That way there, no water build up in it. But if I can just give you guys some advice, just get you an air check and blow the air out. Blow the air out somehow. That way you don't have the same problem I have, because I could have taken 5 minutes and this right here, that's $300 worth of pressure washer hose. And the gray one, the one that you got, this brown looking one right here, it was a 1.5 years old. This one here I got the first of the year and it was still good, but it's trash now. So what I'll do is I'll recoup all the fittings on it, and because there's nothing wrong with them, I'll recoup all the fittings, and I'll have to get another 100-foot hose. The house I washed today was tiny, and I was able to just use 100-foot, and it was perfect. But they're not all going to be like that. So December 28th, we still out here washing, which, I mean, if you look around, it's a beautiful day here, even though it was freezing cold. I mean, look at that, I still got snow here on this section of my house that never gets any sunshine. And unfortunately, that's where my truck was parked at, but it was on this side. So guys, just blow your hose out. Blow your hose out so you don't do any damage to them, because just like a lot of stuff, if you watch on my channel, I'm going to show you stuff that, things that, and give you tips. Some people be like, well, that's stupid, I knew to do that. Well, it's fine if you knew to do it. I knew to do it too, but sometimes I don't always do what I'm supposed to. Let's just say that. But anyway, you guys keep washing, stay warm, make sure you do your maintenance. Like I said, I've said before, if you don't take time for maintenance, it'll make time for you. And in this case, it cost me $300. So you don't want those kind of bills coming out. You don't want those kind of bills coming out when they can be prevented. This stuff's gonna break, it's gonna go down, it's gonna wear out. But dumb stuff like what I did here, that's no excuse. So learn from me and save your money and be smart. That's my time for today. If I don't see you guys or hear from you guys, don't hear from me. Until then, y'all have a happy new year. Read a book, set you a goal that you want to get made this year. It doesn't have to be a big goal. Set a little goal and make those little goals just keep piling up so you can keep getting one win after another, after another, after another. So that's my time for today. We'll see you guys later.